Alright YouTube, so welcome to another video. Now I'm doing something today which I thought I wouldn't actually ever do on the FN2, which is the car stereo. I used to be quite into my car stereos and the massive subs and all that, but I don't know, with the FN2 I like listening to the sound of the exhaust and the engine. So, I don't know, I just for potting around and listening to a bit of radio, the OEM one was fine. But recently the CD player has started making a really weird noise and the CDs are just coming out red hot. Yes, I still listen to CDs. And the radio seems to have stopped picking up any kind of reception, so I bit the bullet and I'm actually going to join you in the 2020s and actually get a double din touchscreen stereo. So let me show you what I've got. So I've gone for, as you can see, Kenwood GMX 5020 DABS, which the most important thing for me was the Android Auto. And it got pretty good reviews. I think it was like 300 quid, maybe like 70 quid off or something like that. I got all this stuff from Dynamic Sounds, which, fair play to them, came really quickly, so that's cool. Definitely recommend them. And I went for the Connect 2 kit that came with the DAB aerial. The fascia I've left in the car because I actually started doing the work already, and I suddenly realised I hadn't actually done an intro, so I came in here to do that. But it looks alright, which you'll see when it's installed whether it matches the rest of the car, but I'm not that fussy to be honest. So what have we got? Got some fitting bits, nice little cover sort of thing to go at the front. We've got this little harness which you have to do different things to it depending on what brand of car stereo you're using. It's basically for the steering wheel controls. I will show you screenshots of the instructions in case you've bought one of these second hand and you don't know what you need to do for your type of stereo. So they will be in the video. So that is what that plugs into. And then I presume the rest of it goes into this harness. So yeah, that's obviously the main harness. It's got all the speaker cables and powers and remotes and things like that. So I think that's everything. So yeah, let's just get straight into it, shall we? Right, so once again we're taking this off. You know the drill. Clip, and you can use a Phillips screwdriver or some kind of socket on that. I always just use a Phillips screwdriver, so I don't know what size it is. So one there, one round there, one round there, and one round there at the bottom. So I've taken those four out already. I had I'm not sure whether it's supposed to have bolts down here, but I've got a clip there and a clip over there on the side of this, and also there and there, a couple of clips again. I've taken all them out, just taken the gear knob off and the little nut that holds it in place. I just grabbed hold of this, something solid to grab hold of, and I was pulling up as I got my little trim tool under there, and it's just ping free. Don't like doing this kind of thing because I usually break something, but yeah, that's free now. So yeah, let's crack on. Just lifted this up out of the way so I can maneuver this around a bit. You can see there's a clip there, there's one there, and there's one there. Right, so that was a proper ball ache trying to release that. You can see the front clips aren't too bad. It's that one there, that one there, and can't really see it. And there's one over there as well. Because you obviously don't want to snap the whole bloody thing. So trying to get them to release is a pain. First tool I found was this pry bar. It was about 12 inches long. Just managed to get in there and release those rear clips. So hopefully that should come off now. So there's one other little slide bugger in the corner as well. Ta-da. Right. Clips galore on that one. So hopefully I should just unscrew these 3 screws or bolts and hopefully something will happen. Right, just another 2 8mm bolts to go. Hopefully I'm highlighting them on the screen at the moment. As you can see, I gave in and moved this out of the way. I was trying not to pull it out of the way, but yeah, I've moved it out of the way now. A bit too tricky to get to those 2 bolts. So I've pinged off a few clips on the top side of this. So hopefully it will just come off now. Hey. So I was about to call it a day, but I thought I might just do a few extra bits. I've just pinged off the air vents. You can see that there was, let me put it down. So there was a screw there and there, and then we had 2 clips this side and 4 on this side. So that's where the screws went. These 2 clips we just stick a screwdriver in just to pry that bit away. These 4 just released really easy. So I might just chuck that on the new fascia now. Right, that's me done for the day. It is a school night, so yeah, I should pick this up tomorrow. I'll just leave it looking like a bomb's hit. Right, so it's the next day. I've just disconnected the battery, as you can see. I think there's kind of 2 different mindsets about whether you need to disconnect or not. I've always disconnected the battery when I've done stereo, so I'm just going to keep doing it. What have I done since I've just got in? Right, I've just switched over the hazard button. Have to remember to plug that in when I'm done. Now I can start unplugging all these and get rid of this little bugger. There she is. A lot more plugs than I was expecting, to be honest. Just fitted these little side bits. Hopefully it's the right way round, because it doesn't actually have any instructions. Just tells you that this is the right and that's the left. Don't know, we'll find out now. Right, hopefully that's right. I said for my Kenwood one to pull out the orange cable and the green one, but I don't know how you're supposed to pull them out. Whether there's some kind of tool which pushes them out from this side, I don't know, but they didn't want to come out, so I've just cut them and put some shrink wrap stuff on them. Apparently I need to use key 1 for the stereo, so not really sure where that goes yet. Doesn't mention the ground at all in these instructions. Oh no, ground is mentioned there once for the Chinesium ones, so maybe you don't need it for any of the others. Right, so I've installed the head unit. There's like a rubber bit that came with it that goes on the other side of this plastic trim. I tried using the bit of trim that came with the stereo, but it was too big that way, I think it was. So I went back to the one that came with the Connect 2 kit and the fascia. Now you can see a tiny bit of daylight right in the corners. But there we are, it's aftermarket, isn't it? There we go, I've just chucked these 4 bolts, 2 that side and 2 the other side. It looks pretty flush to me. Hopefully it is, because I don't want to take it out again. There's a DAB aerial. Having never had one, I don't have a clue what's going on with it. It's got this little plastic box with like a weird bit of gold foil, and both can be stuck down, so I presume they obviously both get stuck to the window. I don't know, I should have to go and Google that one. So I'm going by the instructions and not connecting the ground for the steering wheel controls. just connected. So key 1 for the Kenwood one to the steering wheel remote input. And then I've plugged in this 14 pin connector from the main harness. Right, so I've plugged that into the back of the stereo, the big one, and then I've plugged in the 2 green ones and the 2 grey ones back here somewhere. Those 2. I had an aerial adapter thing which I plugged in there. I think that's probably for a powered aerial, which I don't have, so I shall just put a shrink wrap on that. That's plugged in. This has got like a weird, I haven't come across this before, it's got a sub output, which is just a single cable. I was expecting a red and a white, like a phono, or line in, line out, whatever they're called. So I even grabbed one. Anyway, I can't find that. So I've put a cable on just to extend it, so I can hopefully just leave that down there somewhere in the glove box. So if I go to get a sub, I won't have to pull the stereo back out. That's the plan anyway. I'm going to plug in, I'm going to have to run the aerial, I'm going to have to run the microphone somewhere. And I'm going to have to do the DAB aerial as well. But I've just chucked the negative terminal back on the battery and tested it, and it all starts up fine. So yeah, fingers crossed it's alright. There's one thing, which is this little white plug down here. I'm not sure, there's nothing for that to plug into. I think it was this one on the back of the old stereo, so I'm not sure what that is. But if there's nowhere to plug it in, then there's nowhere to plug it in, is there? Don't know. I've just been in to cut a couple of holes into this compartment thing just above the gear stick. I'm figuring I put the USB, can live in there. Oops. I might run the microphone as well, so I can keep it in there when I don't want it, and I could just, when I want to use it, I can maybe just run it out of that little compartment and just clip it here somewhere. The DAB aerial, I think I'm just gonna go down there and out the bottom and probably round the footwell and maybe up there at some point. Not sure whether I'll get round to it in this video. And there was one other thing. Oh, the sub lead. That sub lead I'll probably run down there as well. So hopefully that'll be of use in the future. And hopefully, fingers crossed, that's everything. So alright, I've dangled the USB. Hopefully that's the right gap, which will then allow me to go through one of these holes. I've done the same with the mic as well. So those 2 cables. And then the DAB aerial and that sub cable have gone down here somewhere and just sort of dropped out down the bottom. So hopefully it's all ready to go. I can't see anything else that I've missed. I've tried the steering wheel controls and they worked. I was able to get a bit of a signal with the aerial as well, the DAB aerial. So yeah, I think it's time to try and get it all back in. Right, so it doesn't seem to fit past this bit. My good friend Rob Stavitek mentioned this to me and I completely forgot, so I think I'm gonna have to try and shave a bit off here. I've given up trying to get it flush here. I'm kind of running out of patience and time. Don't know whether it can get it flush or not, but there we are. Hopefully it'll be held down nicely when the bottom bit goes back on. Just thought I'd better test it again before I put it all back together, all this stuff and that up there. So yeah, there we go. Volume works, and the channel, there we go, and the mode. So yeah, all good. Anyway, I've just checked that the display works up there with the fans, so that's all good. So yeah, I just need to reassemble everything. I've got my 2 cables there, my other 2 cables, oops, down there. Don't forget to plug that back in as well. I actually remembered for once. She's alive! It's a bit of a pain, what with everything moving on to USB-C, because it comes with a USB cable, so then I've got to plug another cable then to convert it to a USB-C for my phone to do the Android Auto. But there we are, it's a million times better than what it was. There's my aerial and my sub lead. I'll have to have a little Google when I go inside to see where I need to put the DAB aerial. I've got those 2 bolts left that were on the underside of there, because there's nothing to bolt into anymore. It's not the best fit in the world. I can't get it to like sit flush, so it keeps rattling. That might be annoying. Hopefully it doesn't do it when I drive. That'd be annoying. This side sort of bulging out a bit. Yeah, there we are. It is what it is. So I know there's a lot of YouTube videos already about installing double DINs in FN2s, but you know, I might as well film it. I might have added something that someone else didn't. I'll try and condense it, hopefully. Hopefully it wasn't too long, so it could be a bit more of an easy one, sort of step-by-step bullet point install. Right, so it's about 3 weeks later and I've decided to put a sub in the car. I've got this giant sort of 2x12" active subwoofer, but I don't know, I just can't bring myself to lose all the boot again. So I've decided to go for a little Underseat sub. So there's the specs for this one. Comes with all the cables. You can even use this one, I believe, to wire up to the speakers if you don't want to wire it in like a conventional sub. So you've got like a little remote thing as well, so you can adjust the gain, the bass boost, the low pass filter, and you've got the phase as well, so you can go switch between 0 and 180. So yeah, it looks right. So this actually, extreme close up, this actually weighs quite a lot. Not quite sure, maybe 5 kilos, but it's certainly lighter than the giant sub I've already got. And more importantly, it's going to not take up my whole boot. So I've spotted where the cables come through, sort of behind the dash there somewhere. So I could just reach up underneath where the throttle pedal is, and I could just feel the sort of where the cables went through. So I thought I could feed the cable through from this side, but having looked at the cable, because you've got the fuse which is on the end where you connect it to the battery, I'm obviously not going to be able to feed that through, so I'd have to feed it through from the engine bay side, and I cannot get my hand to where the cable goes through. So unless you've got tiny little child size hands and arms, I don't see how that's possible, unless you remove stuff, or whether you can come up from underneath, but I don't think you'll be able to reach it because it's quite high up. So what I'm going to try and do until I can possibly find something better is see if I can come through here, so from the engine bay around the side above the wing through here. Hopefully there's enough clearance for it here where the door shuts. Maybe see if I can go into one of these, or just straight under the seal, and then feed it all the way down the side into the back. That's the plan. I haven't really got any other options at the moment. So before I forget, I've installed the DAB aerial. There's a little bit, like a sort of foil bit that needs to come in contact with the metalwork behind there. So I've just run the cable up here and down the rubber seal, the same as the dash cam. So that was quite easy. So I've decided to run this chunky monkey vacuum line through there. The plan is to have it come out and then into one of these. I'm not sure how squashed it's going to be when the door shuts. Time will tell. So that is fed out of there. So I better run the cable straight into there. There we go. Got the cable to come through. It's a bit of a pain in the ass. I didn't want to get through this bit here, but I just got as far as I could and just pulled the pipe through and then just cut the end of the pipe off, and I could grab the cable and pull it through. Alright, so the power cable's coming out. I think I'm going to put the sub under the back seat. I might try and velcro it to the floor. So we've gone under this bit of plastic here. We've gone under where this bit of trim normally sits, and then just up behind the rubber seal. I apologise if the screen goes a bit weird, it's really sunny today. And then we've got this bit of pipe here, so it's not ideal. Alright, because this was all I could find at the time, when I installed the stereo, you would have seen that I chucked this lead into the sub out. So that means I needed to buy like a female to I think it's the female to male Y conversion adapter splitter RCA cable thing. So yeah, that should plug into there. That gives us red and white or red and black RCA cable for the sub. So what I might do is run that under there as well. I'm wondering whether I can use this as my earth point. I might give that a go. This sub came kind of with the actual plug, which I've not had with a sub before. So that's your power cable, and then you've got your RCA, phono, whatever you're going to call it, input. And then you've got these, so you can plug in and use the actual speaker cables instead to power it or to run the bass. Remote, I'm going to try and run to the USB or the cigarette lighter because that comes on with the ignition. Right, so I've done a little test run and it all seems to work. So I've run the remote. So I've just done a little test run and it seems to work. Hooray! So I've hijacked the positive off of the USB charger I installed. So I just need to put another plug on that so that can plug back into there. Tidy up all the cables, put all bits of trim back on, and Bob's your uncle. Right, there we are, she's installed. Not really sure what to do with all the cables at the moment. Need to try and figure a way of tidying it all up a bit. I expect I can get some underneath this mat. Not sure what to do with the remote, because the remote comes from the sub. And it's like, well, what do you do with that? Don't know. I'll have a little think, but yeah, it's working now, which is good. So I'm just kind of run out of time, so I'm going to leave it there, but at least it works. It's exciting. I can even set the clock using the buttons on the steering wheel. Right, so I'm sitting in the back of my FN2 on a really hot sunny day with no windows or doors open because I'm a bit of an idiot. So what am I doing in here? I've got some strips of Velcro. I'm going to Velcro the sub to the mat in the back so it doesn't slide around. It's not been too bad really, although I've just been doing a bit of motorway driving. I expect if I unleash the beast, the sub's just going to go flying towards the back in it, what with all the power I've got. So there's a joke. So yeah, this Velcro it down. I think that's probably the end of the job then, I reckon. So there we go, all done. So I was trying to figure out how I can make this one a bit different to all the other videos showing like stereo installs, and I thought, oh, if I can like do it really sort of brief, sort of 10-minute install But yeah, it didn't really happen. It's a little bit longer, I think. But we have got a sub installation thrown in as well for good measure, so the whole process. So it sounds really good, actually really good. I was a bit dubious about the size of the sub because I've gone from one which was absolutely massive. But this one's great actually. It's not going to like rattle your eyeballs or anything, but it gives you the like really good sub bass to enhance your music, and yeah, I definitely recommend it. There were similar ones like from well-known brands like Kenwood and Pioneer, which were about the same price but a lot lower power. But yeah, definitely go for this one if you're sort of an ahhing, because it's a bit of a unknown brand, well it is to me anyway. So yeah, really pleased with it. The car's finally in, well, the 21st century, I think. So yeah, it's great to have a double din in there and the DAB as well, which is pretty cool. So I'm waffling a bit now. So keep your eyes peeled for a video that's coming, which is probably the biggest mod I've ever done. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss that one. And yeah, I shall see you on the next one. Cheers guys.